Transmuters are some of the coolest and most beloved nen users in Hunter x Hunter, and today we are ranking all of them. This is the basic criteria I used, and let's get right into this. In 10th we have Sadasso. Sadasso is one of the 3 creepy cripples from Heaven's Arena. His ability lets him turn his aura into this hand, because he lost his real hand in his first fight above floor 200. It should be obvious why this guy is in last. I mean, not only does he have an ability outside of his nen affiliation, but he was also outpaced by Gon and Killua within like 6 months of them learning nen. Even if we don't compare him to the boys, he's still obviously weak, as he lost the only battle he had above floor 200, and he didn't even possess nen before that battle. He's also obviously not intelligent. He thinks it's a good idea to try to cheese his way to becoming a floor master, as if you won't have to fight a floor master to become a floor master. Much like his companion Guido, he also has to punch down to achieve his goals, and when you have to prey on the weak like that, you are probably also weak. At 9 we have Worm. I'm gonna be honest, I don't even know what this guy's ability is. Most Transmuters have an ability that gives their nen an attribute. We can see this with Killua as he can turn his nen into electricity, and Hisoka as he can give his aura the properties of both rubber and gum. Worm's ability, on the other hand, seems to be to dig like a worm. I don't even know what nen category this ability would fall under, and it doesn't even really seem like he's a Transmuter in the first place, but he is listed on the wiki as one, so we're going to roll with it. Worm doesn't have anything positive going for him. He's not strong, he's not super intelligent, and he's also dead. He literally broke his hand when he punched Uvo, which isn't really supposed to happen in anime, and he also thought it would be a good idea to send the rest of the Shadow Beasts against the troop. With nothing else to say about this guy, I really can't put him any higher than 9th. At 8th we have one of Worm's companions, Porcupine, another Shadow Beast at the bottom of the list. Porcupine at least has a decent ability. He has complete control over his hair and uses this for offense, but more importantly, defense. According to Porcupine, once he activates his hair for defense, nothing can penetrate it. It's basically Budget Infinity, but with way more weaknesses, one of those being sound-based attacks. If Porcupine uses his hair to restrain someone, that body part will also become useless. This ability actually has the potential to be seriously good, if it was on a more competent nen user who wasn't 2 feet tall. He's honestly probably the best Shadow Beast we saw, which is pretty disappointing. Even if he was stronger, he would still be placed below the person who's next on this list, because there is a huge gap in strength between these bottom 3 and everyone else. Like seriously, we're going from some of the weakest nen users in the show to some of the strongest instantly. At 7 we have Hanzo. Hanzo is one of the hardest people to rank on this list because we haven't seen that much of him, and we also haven't seen his full skill set. We know he's very physically capable, as he was able to pass the Hunter exam with ease and beat Gon with ease as well. This is mostly due to his ninja training, which has given him some serious physical and mental strength. On top of this, we do know one of his nen abilities, Hanzo skill number 4, which is basically astral projection. Hanzo is able to create a doppelganger and control it with extreme precision. It's able to go through solid objects and interact with real people as well. We saw him use it to assassinate a guard during the Succession War, and it was also used for general surveillance at that time as well. However, this ability is not a good combat ability, as it requires a large amount of focus for Hanzo to use it. Regardless of that drawback, the complexity of this ability shows us that Hanzo is a pretty competent nen user, and the fact that this is Hanzo skill number 4 means that he has more abilities we have yet to see. For these reasons, I'm choosing to put him at number 7 despite his non-combat ability. At 6 we have Machi. Machi is one of 2 troop members on this list. Seeing her down here at 6 might be a surprise, but it'll make sense once you see who she's competing with. Machi has the ability to turn her nen into sewing thread. This thread can be used in 2 different ways. The first is nen stitches. This is basically a healing ability. Machi can use her thread to reattach limbs completely in just a few minutes. Nen stitches is a pretty decent healing ability, but it's not great for combat. This is mostly due to the amount of time it takes to heal, as it isn't really a quick battlefield ready kind of thing. Her other ability is to just use her nen threads in battle. These threads are stronger when they're shorter, and they can be used to control opponents like a puppet, or to capture or strangle opponents. The main reason Machi can't be higher is because her abilities hold her back in combat. She doesn't really have anything that gives her an advantage on the battlefield, and that's really not good at this point on this list. Ranking Machi at 6th was an easy decision, almost as easy as subscribing to this channel. Subscribing to this channel will get you updates on new Hunter x Hunter content every week, as well as other anime such as Jujutsu Kaisen and Chainsaw Man. If you're interested in any of those anime, be sure to subscribe. Rounding out the top 5 is none other than Killua. Who doesn't love Killua? Well, maybe Togashi, considering how much he went through. Anyway, Killua has a huge kit to draw from that makes him an incredibly formidable fighter. Let's start with his nen abilities. As I already mentioned, Killua can turn his nen into electricity. This takes 3 main forms. The first is Lightning Palm, where he charges his hand with electricity for a close-range shock. The second is Thunderbolt, which is a super long-range attack mimicking a strike of lightning. We've seen both of these abilities paralyze anyone that gets hit with them, including the Royal Guard Yuppie, if only for a short time. His final ability is the most powerful, Godspeed. Godspeed itself is broken into two abilities. The first is Whirlwind, which allows Killua to basically charge his nervous system with electricity that is faster than his body's electrical system. This allows Killua to react to external stimulation automatically and instantaneously. This ability is actually a lot more complex than that, but I don't want to spend an entire minute talking about it, so we're going to move on to Speed of Lightning, which lets Killua move extremely fast under his own control. All of these abilities combined make Killua a crazy versatile fighter. He can employ a wide variety of strategies to deal with a wide variety of opponents. And on top of these abilities, Killua also has assassination techniques. These include Rhythm Echo, Snake Within, and his super sharp fingers. On top of all this, he's also immune to poison, as he has years of assassin training under his belt. All in all, Killua is an extremely well-rounded fighter, and with high intelligence and a level head on his shoulders, we can rank him solidly at 5th. At 4th, we have Killua's mentor, Bisky. Bisky is almost the exact opposite of Killua. She has almost no abilities that we know of, but her pure strength is off the charts. Even in her nerfed form, she was still able to hurt one of the bombers, but her main source of strength obviously comes from her buff form, which is far stronger than anyone we've seen on this list. We can very confidently put her over Killua, because they did spar in the Chimera Ant arc, and it did not go in Killua's favor. Bisky is also the person on this list who has the most Nen experience, as she is over 60 years old, and we know she's been using Nen since at least her 20s, giving her 40 years of extensive battle knowledge and experience. Her only real drawback is that her Nen ability is not combat based. It basically lets a person get a full night of rest in only 30 minutes. While this is a crazy Nen ability in general, as I said, it's just not great in terms of combat, and when the top 3 are as powerful as they are, a combat-centered ability is kind of a requirement to compete with them. At 3rd, we have the final troop member on this list, Faton. Faton is one of the strongest troop members currently, so his placing at 3rd should not be a surprise. His main ability is Pain Packer, which turns pain into a powerful attack, so the more he gets hurt, the more damage he does. This ability has an extremely high power level, as it can literally create a miniature sun. This immediately fried a Chimera Ant and set their castle on fire for a brief second, but it does seem like Pain Packer requires a high degree of pain to activate, as he didn't activate it until after he broke his arm. This means that against more deadly foes, he might die before reaching that level of pain. On top of this ability, he's also quite adept with the sword and is also willing to take any advantage he can get, making him a ruthless fighter. He also has access to some advanced techniques such as Ko, as well as a technique similar to Rhythm Echo. To be honest, he doesn't have any real weaknesses. He's just ever so slightly outclassed by the people at 1st and 2nd. And in 2nd, we have the strongest pedo in the show, Hisoka. Hisoka is a crazy strong transmuter. His ability is Bungee Gum, which has the properties of both rubber and gum. While this may seem like a simple ability, that simplicity gives him an insane amount of versatility. Bungee Gum can do pretty much whatever Hisoka needs it to do, making it one of the best, if not the best ability in Hunter x Hunter. It can shield him from attacks, it can let him attack stealthfully, it can let him create weapons out of human body parts, it can be attached to opponents and turn them into one of those ball and paddle toys. And that's not even mentioning that he's one of the most seasoned fighters in the show who actively seeks out challenging opponents. This drive to fight only leads to him getting stronger and smarter. The only battle he lost in the show was against Chrollo, where he intentionally gave Chrollo a huge advantage just for the chance to fight him. He clears everyone on this list with ease, except the person at 1, who clears even Hisoka with ease. Who could be that powerful? Well, it's none other than the Royal Guard, Yuppie. Yep, another list with the Royal Guard at the top, which really just shows you how powerful they are. Yuppie is a unique Royal Guard, as he's made entirely from magical beasts. This gives him some unique properties, like the ability to control every part of his anatomy. We saw this be used to grow a ton of eyes, expel spikes out of his back, create gigantic arms, and even liquefy his cells, which was used to feed Meruem, but has huge implications for the full extent of his power. On top of this metamorphosis, he can also turn his rage into aura-based explosions. These explosions have a huge area of effect, and can be used as bait by Yuppie. He also has his Rage Incarnate form, which is basically a centaur with a scythe for one arm and this thing on the other. That thing is where he stores his rage in this form, and he can likely use that stored rage to fire off a beam of aura. He's also much faster in this form, giving him yet another advantage. As with all Royal Guards, most of his abilities don't actually matter that much, because even without them, he just has so much more aura and so much more raw strength than any human can ever possess. It's impossible for the Royal Guards to be below any other Nen users, because they are quite literally built different. And that's the ranking. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this video, maybe check out my Twitter or even subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. It really does mean a lot to me. And I'll see you again next week for another video.